Very exciting night. We went into this entire draft process, especially after acquiring pick number 23 to pair with pick 11 with the mindset on obviously identifying a quarterback of the future that we could really bring in here and begin the process of coaching and teaching in our environment around our team, our players. We really identified skill set, intangibles, and what we hoped to acquire in a player, and I think we were able to do that. In JJ McCarthy, very, very excited to have spent a lot of time with him throughout the process. Really was a really well-run process by Kwesi. Anytime you're drafting a quarterback and really identify that as a position that you're really pinpointing as a goal to come out of the first round with. I think there's a very, very detailed process that has to go. You have to go through fully in many ways, and I'm really happy with the way it all came together, and obviously very excited to have JJ McCarthy on our team. Dallas Turner, quite frankly, was a guy that we had kind of identified once we had selected a quarterback, and we were able to hold on to first-round assets, not only 23 this year, but into the future. We really identified Dallas among a very, very small group of defensive players that we thought were impact players in our front that, quite honestly, in some other drafts where there's not 6 quarterbacks going in the first 12 or 13 picks, whatever it was, a guy like Dallas Turner would not be around for us to possibly trade up for. So when it got to a certain point, we had identified Dallas as a guy that we thought was a great fit in Flo's defense, incredibly versatile, huge traits and skill set to be a dominant player on the edge for us, and the opportunity to add him to our team. Really want to compliment Kwesi and Rob and the group for finding a way to go and get that done, and absolutely looking forward to the rest of the draft as well, but we're off to a very, very good start.
Kevin, what was the extent of the time that you spent with JJ throughout the process?
Yeah, it started at the Combine in the formal interview process, and then obviously getting a chance to watch him throw in kind of a competitive setting there at the Combine. And then we did take a trip to Ann Arbor and spent the day with him. Entailed, a pretty extensive meeting room time at their facility there. And then we got on the field and were able to, between, a process of really hoping to be on the grass doing some of our things that we emphasize in our offense and being able to teach some of those things in the classroom setting. We were able to obviously watch a lot of his tape with him and fill in some gaps on some of the information. Even when you've watched a lot of tape of a lot of players over the years, there's still some questions you have as far as the why, the how, the what, the when, and his understanding of their offense and his understanding of the pass game of their, with what they did there at Michigan was outstanding. And then ultimately being able to see him kind of take information directly from me in an install setting and see him take it out to the field was really, really encouraging, for what that may mean for his development and the process that now we get to go through together. And I think throughout these last few weeks here, you build relationships with some of these guys, and absolutely did so with JJ. And I know he really wanted to be a Minnesota Viking, and I know there's, hopefully as excited as our fans are, they can know that JJ McCarthy really wanted to be a Minnesota Viking, and he cannot wait to get here and get to work.
What were kind of your emotions watching the way those picks came off?
Yeah, there was certainly a range of emotions. You go through it kind of sitting in a place where that quarterbacks were going to be very popular in this draft. That's where you lean on that process, Alec. You lean on making sure that you feel comfortable with multiple scenarios, because that's really what it is. When you go through a draft like this was kind of one of one as far as quarterbacks go. I think 6 in the first 12 picks. I believe it's as fast as that's ever happened, and I can see why. Really talented group of quarterbacks, a lot of guys that you can really see a future building side by side with them. But JJ was a guy, very, very early in the process, obviously coming off of a national championship. Guys won at every level he's been at. And then when you really dive into the tape and some of the things that I really look for and really emphasize in my evaluation process, there was a lot to really like about JJ's tape, and that was before, he absolutely crushed the process postseason, which is hard to do when you've won a national championship and done some of the things that he did as a college quarterback to then, have a great rest of the process like he did. Attacked it every step of the way, a competitor and a guy that believes very strongly that, the best football is out in front of him, and he's going to work like crazy to make that happen.
So there was a lot of discussion about the smaller sample size that he had.
Yep.
Play as much or throw as much. And I don't know if that made any difference to you at all in terms of how you evaluated him and how much you had to project. But to what extent do you think was that tough of an evaluation because of that? And does it impact projections for like when he gets on the field or when he's ready to play?
No, I think, a lot might have been made of the sample size, and I think sometimes you can get caught up with looking at box scores and looking at total statistics and attempts and all those things. I really try to, once I've had a full process with, digesting his entire season, you really go back through and center your focus on those weighty downs, those third downs where you see him 3rd and 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, at a pretty strong clip, move the football team and generate new downs, and get them down in the red zone and make some big time throws to put the ball in the end zone. When games, big moments in games when they needed him, in some ways to find a way, other ways just to make a throw, other ways to extend a play. He made a lot of those plays, and I've, from a standpoint of how I evaluate quarterbacks, I've continued to learn and evolve and understand that there's information there, that you're staring at that sometimes, you take different routes to get there, but ultimately, by the time I was able to absorb all the film and really get to know JJ a little bit more, connect some more dots, and understand what we're really projecting with a person and player like JJ McCarthy, I'm really excited to have him on our football team.
Kevin, what was the first emotion you felt after you did trade up to 10 and you knew you got him?
Yeah, I think, there was some emotions going, through my head leading into those moments, just thinking about, the opportunity that still existed to get JJ. But there was, we knew we weren't the only ones that, had identified him as a quarterback that we wanted to select. So in those moments, you start thinking about kind of the what if we're not able to get this thing done, and, making that one pick jump. Once we were able to do that and agree to that deal, and I knew we were going to be, selecting JJ, it was just pure excitement because there was a goal of mine coming into the first round tonight to really add that quarterback of the future that we can really pour into and develop. There's nothing I love more than coaching that position and being around it and being around somebody hungry to get better every single day with a great skill set like JJ has. But then also, I know we're going to spend a lot of time talking about JJ, and rightly so, but Dallas Turner is a guy. He was one of my favorite players I really met and spent time with throughout the process as well, non-quarterback, I should say, he came to our building on a 30 visit, spent the day, a day and a half here, whatever it was, and he told me before he left, he felt comfortable here. He felt like he could really continue to ascend as a player here, and he's got some lofty goals for himself. I know he's excited to be in Brian Flores' defense and around some of our other players, not only on the defensive side, but the offensive side as well. And that's the coolest thing is starting to get some of the text messages from our current players, guys that are really excited, knowing that we had some goals going into this draft and we were able to accomplish them.
What was something you learned about McCarthy in the pre-draft process that was maybe surprising that you didn't have a hunch about?
Yeah, I think, a lot of times, you can make a mistake, with guys that, look like they're, smiling and having a good time and they're really successful. you can make a mistake and misjudge what kind of competitor they are. And there is a fire inside him to be the best version of himself, and he wants to win. And he's won, like I said, at every level he's played. He's been incredibly competitive, each and every day. They talk a lot about that culture at Michigan, and they've got a lot of players coming out and guys that are going to be selected over these next couple days. And the one thing you hear is how he was a driving force behind a lot of that, and really not only continue to improve himself, but really implored his teammates for that daily improvement as well. And sounds like some of the best players in our organization currently right now have that kind of trait, and adding JJ into that mix and allowing him to be excited to be a Minnesota Viking was a really cool part of it. But ultimately we selected JJ because we're really excited about having him in our quarterback room and really grow and develop him and allow him to become that best version of himself.
Coach, you mentioned that just because of the number of offensive players that went off the board early tonight, that some of those defensive guys maybe fell a little farther than they would have expected, I guess. So what was it like just to be the team to give Dallas that call and kind of stop his wait for the evening?
Yeah, you can always hear the relief in their voice and understanding that you think about much different circumstances years ago when I was finally I was able to get that call. I shouldn't say finally. I was lucky enough to get that call, but you hear it in his voice. And listen, Dallas Turner is a guy that quite frankly we didn't expect to be there in that range, and had really identified him as if somehow, some way, there was an offensive wave that took place, and a guy like Dallas Turner, where he was on our board, the grade that we gave him as a coaching staff, with Flo and his staff, Kwesi and his staff, myself, to identify a player like that, we were just as excited and really relieved as well to be able to call Dallas and make him a Minnesota Viking.
Last couple. Kevin, when you get JJ in here now, what is the process like of just getting him ready, and how fast do you kind of put things on his plate?
Yeah, I think we've got a pretty unique learning environment already in the quarterback room. Sam's been at it for 2 weeks. It's a new system for him. There's some similar things to maybe the previous offense he was in San Francisco, but we're really trying to build our system for this year, for this version of our team from the ground up. No detail is too small, and really working at a clip that is learnable, digestible, and allow these guys to really stack some days on top of each other. And it'll be the same for JJ. I think our jobs is to maximize our time we do have with him throughout the rest of the spring. And you guys know I consider the spring a learning, teaching phase, how we handle it from a skill development phase, technique, fundamentals, all the things that a young quarterback in this league, there's not enough time in the day to really justify. You just wish you had more every single day, and we're going to try to maximize that time, not put any sort of preset target date, or here's where we need to be at this moment. It's going to be our jobs as coaches, myself, Wes, Josh, Grant, to put him in the absolute greatest learning environment we possibly can, identify some things that we really feel are areas that we can help him immediately kind of grow and start making some habits fundamentally and with his skill set to hit the ground running as fast as possible. And then when we get to training camp, it's a continued mindset on that, but now we're into more of a competitive environment against our defense every day, potential joint practices, things like that, the preseason games. Every single one of those moments matter. They're all part of a bigger picture, but they're really, as far as I'm concerned, the timeline, knowing that we just added JJ, a couple hours ago, I'm just more excited than anything to get him here, allow him to get around some of his teammates and start building those relationships, as well as I feel great about where my relationship's at with JJ, because I feel like we've built one up in a pretty short amount of time, but he knows that I'm going to be with him every step of the way, and can't wait to get going.
Did you talk to the other JJ? Or about the decision?
Tonight I did not. No, the things were happening really quickly, but I know with my dialogue with Justin, really going back a pretty long time, that he was excited about what our plans were and how it would shake out and the different scenarios that were at play. But one thing I know for sure is our players know that we added 2 players to our team tonight from winning, successful cultures and guys that have won a lot of football games and are very much intend to continue doing that. And they know, what it takes to work both individually and collectively as a team to try to get those things done. And I think they're going to be pretty darn happy about the environment and the team and the culture and that locker room that they'll be joining.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.